Cast your mind back to December 2019 when Mikel Arteta took over Arsenal Football Club and just remind yourself of what headspace you were in at the time, what your expectations were at the time, and then say to yourself, imagine saying back then that in the year 2025, Arsenal will be second in the Premier League after back to back Premier League title challenges, one of which was kind of unexpected prior to the season starting, and that Arsenal are third in the Champions League and have 99.9%, although Opta said 100% confirmed that they're through into the last 16 and are third in the Champions League. I mean, as someone replied to me on Twitter, like, what the hell would 2019 us think third in the Champions League means anyway? But context, it's absolutely mind-boggling sometimes when you zoom out, get some perspective, remember where you've been, where you've come from, and where you are with everything that has happened this season. Welcome to the Arsenal Bite-Sized Podcast. I'm your host, Clayton. Quick solo short review of the Zagreb game from last night. 3-0, job done. I don't think there's loads of lessons learned or anything. So with this one, I'm going to try and keep it short and snappy, but just thought it'd be good to talk through a few things. I'll go player by player, do it that way today because it's a solo one, and then talk through a little bit of the kind of wider context in the Champions League, I guess. Bobby's in the house. Bobby Love saying morning. Hope you're good, mate. Yeah, let's get into it. Lineup comes out and yeah, quite liked it, to be fair. So what were the changes? Jorginho came in, Kivior came in, Sterling came in. So it was a rest for or dropping. I'll let you make up your mind on what that is. I think it's a just good squad rotation for Marino and Jorginho. Kivior came in for Partey. Timber went to right back. Sterling came in for Trossard. Martinelli moved to the left. And I think immediately people will probably go and think, oh, like, why didn't he play Kivior against Villa, especially with the comments around the kind of right centre-back, the right-footed stuff. But like Dinamo Zagreb at home is a different type of opposition compared to Aston Villa at home, right? And yeah, I think when I go through player by player, you kind of hear my opinion on why I thought it was okay to do it in this game, but not quite against Villa. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go player by player. But let me tell a lie before I do, because I know I'll forget. Nice to see another Hale Academy boy get his debut, and Nathan Butler Ayadeji, 22 years of age. So he's actually been around for a while, to be fair. Like, he's not quite like a 17, 18-year-old. He's been in quite a few squads over the last 2-3 years. I think, like, I feel like I've known his name for a while, rather than it being like, oh, who's this? Like, new guy coming through. Yeah, I want to say he's been on a couple of the senior preseason tours as well. But yeah, 22 years of age. And to be honest, it was squeaky bum time for him, wasn't it? I wasn't sure he was even going to get on when the clock was ticking. But yeah, let's go player by player. David Raya, not much to say, really. Didn't really have much to do. There were a couple of moments in the game where they looked like they were getting into our defensive third, but they didn't really do anything. And just checking the stats, like, they had 5 shots, but they didn't have a shot on target. So yeah, he didn't have much to do. But the one thing I'm impressed with him, though, is like how mentally it must be quite exhausting playing as a goalkeeper in a team. Like, exhausting is the wrong word, but it must be a bit weird playing in such a territorially dominant team and having games like this where you don't have much to do. Like, if you look at Ramsdale's interviews, like, how the hell would he cope in this? But yeah, fair play to Ryan. I think it was the Tottenham game. I sit in the upper tier, but I actually went down to the lower tier and I was watching the warm up in that game. And like, we all view goalkeepers as this position that just don't need a rest, right? But I was watching the warm up. I was thinking, flipping out, it's physically quite strenuous. Like, the way they warm up, like their agility, the way they're on the floor up, and like mentally in the game. So yeah, I don't know. Probably is not much to read into, but I'm quite impressed with how he's doing, to be honest, because I think mentally and physically I'd be absolutely fucked. But that's why I'm sat here on a Thursday morning doing this, and he is where he is. Let's go through the back four. Jurriën Timber, I was happy he got subbed in the 59th minute, because he's someone I've been really worried about, to be honest. Not from performances, just I feel like we're playing him into the ground, and it's because we don't really have an alternative, right? Yeah, if Ben White, this isn't a slight on Ben White at all, because flipping hell, he's played through so much pain and I think injuries over the last few years. So it's just annoying that the injuries all happen when they do, with White and Tomiyasu being out at the minute and Timber being played into the ground. And I think it showed a little bit like that. He was fine offensively, he was fine all round, but there were a couple of moments where I think he tried his nonchalant gimmick, didn't he? Tried the shoulder drop when he was facing his own goal, and I think the Zagreb guy took the ball off him. But other than that, he was fine. Kivior up just okay for me. I think their striker, forgot his name now. Was he? They had a Gabriel on their team, didn't he? Didn't they? Was he? No. No, I'm flipping out. That Gabriel was a left back. What was I watching? But yeah, one of their attackers really liked a physical duel. Can't remember who it was, if it was one of their wide forwards or the striker. But I thought Kivia was just fine, to be honest. Like, there were a couple of moments where I was watching the game and I was like in my head, like, see, this is why I didn't start against Villa, because Watkins and a couple of the other midfield athletes that Villa have would have bullied him, in my opinion. I think it's fine against Zagreb at home, but I just thought he was fine. Like, that was it. Not awful, not amazing, just fine. But for me, it was like, yeah, these are the games where I feel like play him. It's fine. It's Zagreb at home. Like, if we play against some of like the bottom half teams at home in the Premier League where everyone else is fit and available, like, slot him in then. Like, he's someone that if he can take a handful of appearances a season, I think it's fine. Whether he'll be here next summer, I don't know. But yeah, just fine appearance. Gabriel, solid again, like, not much to read into. He although that flipping out, my heart was in my mouth a bit when he went down quite early on. And it looked like he had a stud mark on his knee, but I was a bit concerned there. But yeah, he came through that, and again, didn't really have much to do, right? But looked like he enjoyed the physical battle with their striker. Zinchenko, yeah, he divides opinion, right? And like, defensively, get it, he's got his flaws and stuff. I just really like watching this guy play football, to be honest. Like, him and Jorginho just feel like they're on a really nice technical wavelength, and yeah, I just like watching him play football. And again, similar to Kivior in a way, like, it's weird to compare the two considering where Zinchenko was in the pecking order just 18 months ago, even. Obviously, in 2023, sorry, he was first choice, one of the best players in the 11, but it's mad how far down the pecking order he's fallen. But yeah, I really like watching him play football. And similar to Kiwi, I think there's certain oppositions where he's just a no-brainer, right, to play. And this was one of them. Thought he was good. Thought he was really good. Miles Lewis-Skelly, by the way, Arteta said couldn't complete training. I can't remember if he said the training was on Tuesday or Wednesday. I'm going to say Tuesday. But yeah, couldn't complete that training session. And he jarred his knee, I want to say, he said, against Villa. And he's going to have some scans today. So fingers crossed that's nothing serious. But I mean, obviously, fingers crossed it's nothing serious. But do you know what? Right now, that position probably isn't the worst area to be picking up an injury with everything going on. Like, we've got Zinchenko there. We've got Calafiori, who was on the bench. Tierney, I thought, looked all right in his cameo. I'll talk about later. Calafiori didn't come on at all, so maybe he's not as close as we think. But yeah, I know Zinchenko probably wouldn't be the preferred option ahead of Miles Lewis-Skelly right now. I just feel like it's an area that, unlike other areas of the team, we actually have some depth at the minute. Into midfield, Jorginho, yeah, similar to Kivior Zinchenko. There's certain games with Jorginho where, like, you always know what you're going to get from him, but there's certain games I actually don't like him in the team because of the element of control he gives us is both, in my head, a positive and an annoyance sometimes. I think sometimes when Jorginho's in the team, we're too guilty of the kind of studs on the ball, an extra 1-2 touches, pass it around, like, a little bit, not lethargic, but just not the intent and purpose to move it with the tempo I usually like, which I get is a coached instructional thing, right? It's just a personal preference thing. I don't always love it. This was a game where I liked it. And I think he was fine. Like, I don't think he was kind of extraordinary, like I've seen some people kind of cite on Twitter. But yeah, I thought it was really good. And it was nice to kind of be able to rotate the midfield, like give Partey a breather. Again, this game, I don't know if this was a rest or Marino's just not in the frame at the minute, but like, this wasn't a game that would have suited him anyway, right? Like, Marino's not really the best ball progressor. He's not the most technical player. He's just a bit of a Marouane Fellaini, really, isn't he? So yeah, Jorginho, good, really good. Declan Rice, this guy, like, I've fallen guilty into this trap myself of Is he best as a 6? Is he best as an 8? I think we've got, like, one of the best all-round midfielders on our hands, right? And I just think, like, rewind to prime Steven Gerrard. Like, do you think obviously tactics in football were different back then, but like, I don't think people would be having debates on like, is he this? Is he that? Is he a 6? Is he an 8? Is he a box to box? Is he a playmaker? Is he a final that like just you've got one of the best all-round midfielders in the game on your hands. Just flipping enjoy him. And I think I need to get better at that myself, to be honest. Because like I said, I've fallen into that trap of like trying to almost box him into something. And I mean, in this period of adversity, right? Like he has just stepped up, hasn't he? He has been performing absolutely to a ridiculous level and coming into his own. And yeah, he just does it all. He's on the left, he's on the right, he's in our defensive third, he's in their final third. I think that's what you want from him, right? And you can really see the Zubamendi signing complementing him nicely. Like you think to that best run we went on in January 24 onwards, it was kind of Jorginho Rice, right? And you're thinking in terms of the profiles there, they just complement each other nicely. I think I used to think this way. I don't know what's changed for me, but like I used to get away from this idea of like, where's a person going to play? What position are they? Well, like forget the shirt number that they wear. Just think of the attributes and the profiles they bring to areas of the pitch. And I think I need to get back to doing that with Arsenal because I don't know what changed with me, but I definitely fell into a little bit of a trap of trying to box people into things. And yeah, Declan Rice just absolutely outstanding. Really good from Havertz, the way he laid it off. And yeah, what a volley from Rice. Going back, actually, I think Zinchenko almost recreated that goal, didn't he? The ball went in. I can't remember to who. I want to say Rice, maybe. Um, Tried to cushion it, and Zinchenko tried to get the shot off, but didn't quite happen. But yeah, really nice goal. And like 2 minutes in, I'm thinking, fair play. This is going to be a walk in the park. Yeah, nice goal. Odegaard, I thought he was. Let me start with a positive. Got his goal. Really happy for him. I think I heard on comms that was his first open play goal since April. Um, yeah, that's not great, but like just really glad he got it. Like sometimes you just need the ball to fall for you like that to get the goal. Having said that, I didn't see anything in the game that made me think he was going to get a goal, and I thought he was indifferent. I thought he was busy but indifferent, and I'm going to say ineffective. I think again, like we all talk about like Martin Odegaard as he is obviously a creator, right? Like when we've got our fully fresh, fully available 11, he, I think he's always top for all the chances created with Bukayo Saka, right? Like there's loads of metrics that were doing the rounds in the Premier League, and Odegaard was always top of those. But I think his natural DNA is more of that like Bernardo Silva, not quite that kind of final ball traditional 10 playmaker, just someone that likes a lot of volume of touches to be able to get around the pitch, lots of combination play. And I think he shows that in his natural DNA when he drifts everywhere. And I think he, again, I speak a lot about if you picture there's a midfield line and a defensive line, and there's a block in between those, you traditionally want an Odegaard in between those lines to be able to take the ball, receive it, and hopefully play someone through. And there were 2-3 times in the first half, to be fair to him, where he positioned himself really nicely in between. Like to be able to position yourself consistently like this is a elite skill. Like you get yourself in a box where it's in between the middle line of their structure and in between the wide line of their structure, and also in between the middle horizontal line of their structure in their midfield line and in between the horizontal line of the defense. And you get yourself in that box. And he found himself in that quadrant quite often in the first half, but Jorginho didn't, for whatever reason, play it into him or see him or spot it. And he does this thing quite often, Odegaard, where the ball will be in our kind of first phase and he's really out on the kind of outskirts and out in that pocket. And he really looks frustrated when he doesn't get it. But then as the game went on, I just thought he was a little bit too comfortable being outside of that box and almost in front of the opposition where they can see him. And I don't think that's where we want him. I think we want him in between where like he's behind some of the opposition players where they have to look over their shoulder. He's got it on the half turn. His first touch is immaculate. He's got it. He doesn't need to think too much. He can be instinctive. He can play combinations. He can thread a final ball. So I think he's taken the easy option a bit. I'm going to give him an area of accountability there. I think he's taking the easy way out a little bit too often at the minute and way too comfortable playing outside of the block. Happy he got his goal. Hope that doesn't come across negative. It's literally just constructive criticism, which I think will help us as a team in this period. Onto the front three. Gabby Martinelli, the samba music in training midweek, coming in clutch. I thought he was good. Yeah, I think he's been good for a couple of games now, to be honest. Really nice cross in for Havertz's goal. He just goes. There was a period where even I was like, mate, just slow down. Like he was pressing relentlessly like a Duracell bunny. And in my head, I'm like, mate, we can't afford for your hamstring to go at the minute. So in my head, I was like, chill out. But that's just who he is, right? Really impressed with him. Thought he was good. Again, like, I don't think he was as exceptional as people seem to be making out, but yeah, I thought it was good. Got to the byline a couple of times, like dragged us up the thirds quite nicely. I think there's something about him and Zinchenko. They seem to work quite nicely together, to be honest. And I think that's one thing I forgot to say, actually. Between Zinchenko and Jorginho, I think through passing and ball progression, they moved us up the thirds quite nicely, actually, in this game. So I thought that was good. Good performance from Martinelli. Really good cross for Havertz's goal. Good stuff. Havertz nicely segues onto him. Nice goal from him. He's quite brave in that area when the ball comes in because, there was one game, to be fair. I think he bottled it. I want to say it was the Man United game in the FA Cup where the header went wide. I think in the back of his head he was worried about the keeper coming and clattering him, but he scored this header a couple of times in the Champions League now, right? I think one was one Monaco or PSG. I feel like I've seen this goal in the Champions League a couple of times. So happy for him. Nice, especially with everything going on. He's obviously got back-to-back goals now, hasn't he? So that's good stuff for him. It was nice we were able to take him off in the 75th minute to give him a bit of a breather. Fingers crossed we get another offensive player in by the end of the window because, I think to get the best out of Kai Havertz, you need to be able to take him out of the team sometimes. And that doesn't that's not like to say he needs to be dropped. It's just to be able to maximize his freshness levels, really. That's it. On to Raheem Sterling. Mate. There were 10-15 minutes against Man United. I was quite encouraged. There's been 10-15 minutes spells in games earlier this season where I think fair play, they were in the EFL Cup, but I was like, okay, there's something there in a profile where he can take a man on, drop a shoulder, go inside, go out, but it's just not happening, is it? I know so when we got him to contextualize where my headspace was with Raheem Sterling, I was literally like, we have Trossard, we have Martinelli, we have forget the injuries and stuff at the minute, just going back to the summer. Trossard, Martinelli, Havertz, Saka, Jesus. Raheem Sterling is a Reece Nelson, someone that can hopefully come in here and there and contribute, take minutes off the other guys in the EFL Cup, and in an injury crisis, can he contribute? Almost like our version of Chiesa. The way things have panned out, he's bumped himself up the pecking order, right? And it's not great. From a business perspective, I don't think Arsenal did anything wrong. I'll say that. Like, I kind of get it, to be honest. I still kind of get it, what they were trying to do in the summer, because of the lack of availability of players that were our higher end options. It was a low risk thing that sounds silly to say this, had a tiny bit of upside, but it's not panned out that way. And to be honest, right now, with the loan deals, right, in the Premier League, like you can only loan, is it 2 players an hour? Quota is netto Sterling. I'd cancel Sterling's loan and go get Rashford on loan. I really would. I don't know what the deal is with wages, because I think with Sterling, where like the wages were quite kind, right? So I think that's why it worked out financially quite nicely, where it was like, you know what, it's a low risk move. But if Rashford is available and the wages are okay, I think Rashford would help Arsenal. Yeah, just binary view, forget the accountancy and everything. Do I think between now and the end of the season, Raheem Sterling or Marcus Rashford would help Arsenal Football Club more? I'm saying Marcus Rashford. So again, like, it's all well and good me trying to pretend I'm playing FIFA. I don't know how these things work in real life, but that's where my headspace is at. Really disappointed by him. Again, I thought he showed moments of intent and purpose, but he just doesn't have the execution right now and physically doesn't look at the level. And I mean, it was night and day when the sub happened, right? When Nwaneri comes on, and I thought he was flipping fantastic. Like, puts in a really nice cross for someone. His set piece deliveries were great on that, by the way. The consistency and delivery of Odegaard and Rice, absolutely outrageous. And it reminds me of something else I forgot. Gabriel just consistently getting into the right space. One chance he should have done better, I think, hit the target. He looked quite visibly annoyed with himself. But yeah, the consistency and accuracy in the delivery of Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard is outstanding. And when Nwaneri contributed to that, great to have him back in the squad. Thought he was really good. His kind of physicality, if anything, always surprises me. He looks quite powerful. Bit of a dodgy tackle on a guy where I'm surprised he didn't get a yellow, to be honest. But their guy got a yellow because he tried to flag for Nwaneri to get a yellow. So that was quite funny. But yeah, really good stuff from him. Really, really encouraging to have him back around at the minute. I mean, I won't talk about Wolves now because we'll do the preview tomorrow. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we do on the right wing. But immediately, he's back ahead Sterling in the pecking order, right? So that puts my mind at ease anyway. Other subs, who else came on? Yeah, I spoke about Timber, went off. Party came on at right back. He was scaring me. Again, not from a positional thing or anything or a performance level, but no, he was sprinting, doing overlaps. I'm like, mate, what are you doing? We're flipping, like we're winning. Chill out. Yeah, I didn't want his hamstring to go either. Other subs, Tierney comes on for Zinchenko. Tierney's impressed me, the last couple of games. Again, I know we can't rely on him. I know he's probably going to go, but he's done that kind of drilled cross into the box a couple of times now, where it's found someone and. Yeah, I've just quite liked seeing him, to be honest. Again, it doesn't need to be this big, deep analysis or anything or associate big, deep meaning to it. He's a player I've liked over the last few years. He's a player's profile. I'd love to get a better version of him, to be honest, in the squad. I think we could do with an overlapping profile and someone that's just a bit of a traditional fullback, like up and down the touchline, defend first, contribute and attack with nice deliveries. Yeah, it's nice to be able to see him getting some minutes and hopefully he gets a move that works out nicely for him. But do you know what? If we couldn't find a move for him, not hate, still have. I mean, I know it's like 50,000 left backs, but yeah, I've got a soft spot for him. Trossard comes on. The thing that blew my mind, bloody 100 Arsenal appearance for Trossard. How's that happened? Like, that absolutely blew my mind. I feel like we obviously signed him, was it 2 years ago in January? Yeah, January 22-23 season, I think it was. So yeah, fair play, 2 years. But I mean, he made 46 appearances in the 23-24 season. He made 22 appearances in that first season when he came in. And that, oh no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong stuff in terms of seasons. But over calendar years on FOTMob, it says 22-23, 22 appearances, 23-24, 46 appearances, and 24-25, 32 appearances. What the fuck am I talking about? That's mad. That's blown my mind. I feel like there's a reporting error there, but still 100 appearances. That has absolutely blown my mind in 2 years. But I guess, yeah, if you're talking about like the calendar year and 50 games a year, it makes sense, right? And he's someone that whether he starts or comes off the bench, he feels like he always gets on. So yeah, fair play. Half a full century up for Trossard. Yeah, good to be able to bring him on. And like I said, give Havertz a bit of a breather. I think that's covered all the players. Martinelli went off, spoke about Butler Oyedeji coming on. Yeah, and just looking at my notes, if there's anything I missed. I guess the only thing was, like, first half, if I'm being honest with myself, I did think it was a bit drab. It was one of them where I think you could clearly see, like, once the first goal went in after 2 minutes, they were like, can we play in gear? I think we always talk about gear 2. Like, I think they were like, can we play in gear 1 and just get this over the line with, like, how the fixtures have been, how the availability and the freshness of the team has been recently. So I personally would have liked a bit more attacking intent and a bit more decisiveness and incisiveness in the final third, but I think they were just going through the motions, to be honest. But yeah, if I'm being completely honest, like first off, I was, oh, fucking hell, this is a bit of a drab to watch. Yeah, and then the second half, I think it was one of them. The game started to open out a little bit more. There started to be a bit more space, and then the timing of the goals helped, right? With Havertz getting his in the 66th minute. I think that was perfect timing. And then That enabled us to make a couple of changes 10 minutes or so after that. Yeah, and then Odegaard got his. One thing on Zagreb, by the way, I thought some of their players were embarrassing, like the way they were kind of going down, rolling around, this and that. And like, I don't want to be that guy, especially because like it's a big moment for them in the Champions League, right? Like it's yeah, I don't want to come across as that kind of arrogant, condescending fan from a air quotes like big club in Europe. I don't want to sound like that, but I thought they were tin pot in some of their behaviours, to be honest. Bit embarrassing. But yeah, job done. Like I said at the start, sometimes perspective goes a long way to dictating emotions. Like I'm someone, regular listeners will know where my headspace is at in terms of the future of this football club. Very relaxed about the long term future of this football club. Very, as long as it, I will go even further and say, as long as it's under this manager, I think that this manager is extracting the absolute most of what we would be. And I don't think another manager comes in with the same squad, the same circumstances, and has us second in the league, has us third in the Champions League. Like, third in the Champions League after years of being out of it, years of just getting there and doing absolutely fuck all. And like, we may do nothing in the tournament this campaign, who knows? But like, I can't wrap my head around it sometimes. I really can't. I'm so grateful for what he's done for us as a football club. And we're nowhere near our ceiling. This is it. Like, this to me is literally like if you said to an Arsenal fan in the summer, describe everything that could go wrong this season, I don't think we've been far off. Like we've missed, I think we missed Gabriel for a couple of important games. Okay, I won't talk about that because like shit like that is going to happen in a season. You're going to miss key players for 1 or 2 games. But if you told me and any Arsenal fan in the summer, we're going to miss our captain for 2 months, we're going to miss our best player for a minimum of 2-3 months. If you told me the way the defensive unit would operate in terms of availability, and again told other Arsenal fans, like you would not be expecting to go on and win the league and be where we are in the Champions League. You're like, you just wouldn't. And I'd go as far as saying no other team in the same set of circumstances would be expecting the same. So how you can't assess everything that's going on and tip your hat to the manager in this position, I don't get it. Like I get it aesthetically, like the football isn't as amazing as I'd like to be watching at the minute, but I don't think we're at end game at all, and that's what blows my mind. I still think there's gears and levels that this team will go to with the right recruitment and the right availability of players and everything. Yeah, I'll leave it there for now. I'll just read out a couple of the comments from the guys in the chat. Sorry, mate, didn't see you jump in. Scott, Dream Team Professor, good morning. Hope you're good. Bobby said, Jorginho's performance last night made me excited for what Zubamendi can do for Rice. Yeah, same here. Yeah, I think, like, again, just going back to the forgetting the positions and who's a 6, who's an 8, just the combination of, do you know what? Just being simple, the combination of power, physique, and technical ability, and the ability to be able to have 2 midfielders that can contribute in all thirds of the pitch with different technical and physical attributes just excites me, regardless of 6, 8 midfield balance dynamics. I think I sometimes just need to go back to being a bit more simple with football analysis. But yeah, absolutely agree on that. Bobby's also said it was another game. He gets the ball in shooting positions, edge of the box, but doesn't shoot. 22-23, when he used to let them fly, bring them back. Sorry, mate. I can't remember what section that was about to know who you were talking about. Was it Odegaard, maybe? Yeah, Odegaard. Yeah, bang on. Like in that season, we used to be able to get him into that position and yeah, like you said, kind of let it fly. And there was one where I think he was about to pull the trigger, right? Like the ball got into him on the edge of the box. He took a couple ricochets and he was about to let loose, and then Martinelli came in and kind of took the shot. And I think it was the right decision from Martinelli. But yeah, we just need to get him back in those positions, don't we? Because he's got a cracking shot on him. But I think a lot of it is, yeah, the way teams are defending, that we don't, that space doesn't really exist right now, which I think is influencing a lot of the way we attack. But yeah, we'll get there. It's like I said at the start, just cast your mind back sometimes to where we were and where we are. And do you know what? Even the kind of the urgency from fans, I get it. But again, like the way I kind of assess Arteta, right, is I almost look at him as a different manager himself, and I almost look at it as like Arsenal have had 3 different managers in Mikel Arteta. The first manager that came in, and this is my way of contextualizing things and not telling you all to do this, that if you're listening, but it helps me contextualize things massively. When Arteta came in 2019, I was giving him kind of 2-3 years with the objective of no, that's a lie. I was giving him 4-5 years, if I'm being true to myself back then, of can this guy get us back to being a top 4 team? Tick, done. Like way before then. Tick, done. So then I went into the 22-23 season. We ended the 21-22 season 5th, right? Like we just finished outside the top 4. And I think the general consensus going into 22-23 was top 4, right? Like I remember putting a thread out that kind of blew up actually on Twitter saying best case outcome for that Arsenal team if all the chips land our way, if all the probabilities go our way, probabilities go our way, best case outcome was an 84-point campaign. Or 85-point campaign, something similar to what we did. But I think that was like a 1 in 10 scenario with the squad as it was going into that season. And I look at that season as, okay, Mikel Arteta number 2. Think of him as a second manager. Like, what was the objectives? It wasn't to win the league that season. It wasn't. And I don't think another manager going into another club in the same circumstances would be analysed against that objective. Fast forward to the end of that season, we obviously got super close. Was it 84 points we got? Finished second. Yeah. Last season is the first season, and this is where I look at Mikel Arteta number 3 as the manager. Last season was the first season I think there was any expectation, hope that we could actually tangibly challenge for the league, in my opinion. And I don't know any other manager that goes into a club and gets 2 years of trying to challenge for the league and it not being good enough and going and getting the boot. And I mean, that's probably a lie. There probably are some, but I don't even think this squad is complete yet. Like, I know we've spent a lot of money, but it's been building blocks, right? Like everything has been done ahead of schedule, in my opinion, apart from the one thing. And that one thing isn't an easy thing to do, going that extra distance and winning the league. And I'm so confident we'll get it. Like, not this season, but so confident. Like, football is a game that takes time to get where you want to be. And I don't know where modern football I don't know how this has happened, but in modern football, everything is now, everything is yesterday, everything, like, it doesn't work that way. This manager is the man that gives us the best probability of consistently being at the top level. And I don't understand how people don't see it. I really don't. Like, without him, I with the same squad, we don't consistently challenge, in my opinion. Without him, we don't. It's on him the level we're at, and I get it. There's flaws there. There's limitations. We'll get there. Not everything happens overnight, and I get it. It's frustrating. It's annoying. City dropped off, but shit happens in football, man. Like, this is literally the worst case outcome of what could be going on this season. And we're fucking second in the league, third in the Champions League. I just need to get that off my chest. And to be honest, it's probably not going to be the final time you hear that from me, because the general narratives are doing my head in at the minute. So if that's not a bit of you, this probably ain't the channel for you. But if it is, and that resonates with you, please subscribe to the channel. Yeah, it goes a long way, especially like it's a Thursday morning, right? Got lots of other commitments outside of this. This is literally just a hobby I do. I think 8 subs away from 350 at the minute. So if you can be one of those 8 that helps get to 350, that will go a long way. If any of you are watching live, if any of you are watching back, if you could drop the stream a like, that helps as well. And if you're listening on audio, please give it a 5-star review. That goes a long way. And as I always say, especially being quite a small fan-led channel, like, word of mouth goes a long way as well. If you know any mates that support Arsenal that think they'd like this sort of content, word of mouth always goes a long way. So yeah, thank you very much. I'll be back tomorrow with Bradley Parker, who is the Wolves correspondent from Planet FPL, to preview the Wolves game. Be good to get his thoughts on how Wolves are doing at the minute. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to have to ask him about Cunha, aren't I? Yeah, I don't like doing stuff like that, but it feels a bit weird to not ask. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow to preview that. I don't know what time it will be. I think it will be between maybe 1 and 2, the usual time. So yeah, if you're new around here, always do a weekly preview, and it alternates between doing it with a guest of the opposition or another one of our lovely Arsenal fans that always guest on the show. And then I'll be back on Sunday with Finn to review the Wolves game, because he is actually going to Molineux. So yeah, couple bits of content coming up. And you know what? I can even talk through next week's schedule as well, because I've got Angus McPhail coming on. And for some people who may not remember or know Angus, he is an encyclopedia of European football. Like he's got cool life experiences where he's lived all over Europe and stuff, but he's an Arsenal fan, Arsenal season ticket holder that just happens to be an encyclopedia of football. And he came on prior to the Atalanta game, I think it was, and did like a really cool section talking about Atalanta's journey, the manager, their play style. So yeah, Angus is coming on next week to preview the Girona game, and then I can't tell you what the schedule is beyond that because I don't know, but that's as far as I can go for now. But yeah, always weekly previews, always weekly reviews of all the Premier League games at least, and then when possible, like today, a nice little brief. Well, I tried to keep it brief. It's ended up 40 minutes, so apologies, but I think it was a episode covering everything that needs to be covered. So yeah, ladies and gents, thanks as always. Like I said, the logistics go a long way. If you can help me getting to 350 subscribers, always appreciated. See you tomorrow. Good stuff. 3-0, third in the Champions League, into the last 16. Up the Arsenal.